This story did not come out of thin air, Susan. This was something that was inspired by your own life. Can you explain exactly how?
Yes, I grew up with a man. His name was not Mr. Church. I changed the name for the movie, but he came into my life when I was a little girl, and through strange circumstance, not exactly how I did in the movie, but he came through into my mom's life and my life when my mom was sick with cancer and I was little. And he basically never left my life until the day he died. And he raised me and nurtured me and fed me and is the reason I became a writer and is the reason I survived childhood. And he's just the most important man in my life. And when he passed away, my daughter had not been born yet, and I was really sad that she was never going to meet this incredible person who just is the reason for everything about my who I am today. And so I thought, well, maybe I can have them meet in a story, and that was sort of the beginning. And then I just started writing the story, and I took creative liberties with certain things. The major one being that, and I'm really sad to say, my mom's alive. I never thought I'd have to apologize for that.
Such horrible news.
But she was a miracle. She, just like in the movie, though, she was dying of cancer. We had the hospital bed and all that. She did survive her cancer, but for most of my life, I lost her to alcoholism. And in a way, that is another form of a death in my life. And the real Mr. Church really was the person that I came home to, the person who did my homework with me, the person who he sewed clothes for me, he sewed clothes for my dolls. He gave me the books to read, and he was my constant. I'm happy to say my mom is 84, and she is sober at 79 years of age.
Wow.
And but yeah, I had to kill her. It just had so that's when creative writing kicks in.
I didn't find out that your mother was alive till halfway through the movie. She came to the set and was like, "This is my mother." I was like, "What the fuck?"
I didn't want, because I remember early on telling Natasha about my mom, and she's like, wait, your mom's alive? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to talk about my mom for the rest of the movie because it's going to mess with them. And, when I watched the film, I realized all those thoughts of, my mom had been the sun to me, and burning and stuff is very similar to also losing a parent to alcoholism when they're just not there anymore. And so I feel like I gave her a much more romantic death than
I just think it's so much better that she's alive.
Yes. So yeah, that was.
I like that. Bruce, if there's something that ties this film together with the film that you directed that won the Academy Award for Best Picture, Driving Miss Daisy, it's the idea of an unlikely friendship that blossoms between two people. Is that something as a concept that appeals to you and one of the reasons why you were interested in doing this film?
No, I never thought at all about Driving Miss Daisy when I read Susan's script when it first came to me. I just thought it was a very moving story that was obviously true. I mean, I could tell when I read it, I thought, well, this must have happened, or most of it. I found it terribly affecting. And I remember calling the producer, Lee Nelson, who's here tonight, and saying, I think it's a wonderful script, and I don't even need to find out if it's a true story or not, because I can tell that it is, because it had such integrity. And Driving Miss Daisy didn't relate. I mean, it was just a film about some very interesting people in a situation that I found very touching.
Eddie, it's been 4 years since we've seen you on screen in a feature film. Were you actively looking to come back and you were seeking scripts out and that's how you found Mr. Church? Or did it come across your desk and you thought, I just have to do it even though I've been taking time?
Yeah, I wasn't looking to do anything. I was just home in the backyard relaxing. And this came along, and I jumped on. It was a really nice thing to get involved with. I'd never read anything like it before, and so I just jumped on. But I wasn't actively looking for scripts.
What?
Nor am I now.
Well, that's a bummer to hear. What about it spoke to you?
I had a very strong emotional reaction to it. Like, I've never read anything like that, and usually I don't get offered things like that. So it was like I'd never had the experience where I was sitting and crying while I was reading something. So I was like, wow, I never had this feeling before, and it was like, hey, this could do something we haven't done before. I've been making movies for 35 years, so to get to do something you haven't done before, you know. Well, thank you. Let's get to do something new, you know.
Susan, obviously, as you were saying, there's creative license here between the inspiration for Mr. Church and Mr. Church himself. But having said that, was there any video footage or photographs of the inspiration for the character that you showed, either Bruce or Eddie, that helped?
Photographs. You know, what I loved about Eddie's performance, first of all, his performance just takes my breath away every time I see it. And, you know, I showed him a couple of pictures, but he really trusted the material. The person was on the page, and you know, it was great. We didn't need to have like some powwow of like who, you know, because really what it's from the observation of me, you know. If this was Mr. Church's story, it would be a whole different story, but it was my observations, which is why I used voiceover, because so much of my experience and my relationship with him was through observations and thoughts, and just I watched him all the time. I was just so in love with him, and so I showed them a couple of pictures, and the paintings. A lot of the paintings in the movie are the real Mr. Churches that we used. But other than that, you know, I don't have any video. And Eddie didn't need it. I mean, the first day when I saw him in costume, and just down to how he held the cigarette, it gave me goosebumps, because it was just, I said to him, I'm like, it's crazy. The mannerisms and the way you're carrying yourself is exactly how he was.
He really held a cigarette like that. And I'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a note from a potential producer or distributor to encourage you to change? I'm really glad that it's from her point of view. I think that's special about the film. Was there anyone who tried to get you to switch it?
I was so spoiled on this project. It'll never happen. Well, it took over 12 years to get this made, but so I hope that part doesn't happen again. But the process, the making of the movie was so between Bruce and his honoring my script. I mean, he let me be on the set every day. He let me be in post. Yeah, you know, you did, and the producers, everybody made the movie I wrote. You know, they didn't try to turn, and you know, the fact that not all the answers of who Mr. Church was and the secrets and stuff are revealed, because that wasn't revealed to me. And I feel like in movies we want to always sort of wrap things up in a nice, neat bow and, you know, spell it all out for the audience. And the truth is, I'd rather an audience just experience this friendship and love, and maybe go home tonight and what did you think that might be underneath all that, you know, and come to their own ideas. I think we don't give audiences enough credit for being smart and having their own thoughts about, you know, characters. But I know I was so spoiled. They didn't try to make it something it wasn't, and I'm so grateful for that.
The performance, I agree with you, Susan. Eddie, the performance is so understated, so beautiful, so restrained. Bruce, can you talk about how the two of you worked together to help foster that and create that? Did you try things at different pitches and calibrations, or was it really kind of set in this beautiful tone from the get-go?
Well, I think we both felt the same about it from the beginning. From when I first met Eddie at his house and we talked about it, we obviously had the same reaction to the script. And we seemed to be on the same wavelength about the way the character would behave and what he would do. And it was a great thrill working with Eddie, because I always used to feel it was always seemed right to me. You know, I don't know that I ever said that much. I used to maybe make...
There were times when, because I'm always trying to come up with something funny. So there were times where I would say, you know what would be funny here, Bruce? If you did, and then he came, and then that, and he would go, it's very funny, but I don't think it works for this. So there's lots of times where you look, kept it from, going to a joke.
But it was maybe I did, yes.
Yeah, you did it a couple of times.
But it was. I found I always get very carried away in films that I'm directing because I wouldn't be directing them if they didn't mean a lot to me. And when we were doing scenes like the one in the garden, where he talks about the ladybug and the thing, I found it almost unbearably moving. And even now when I watch it, I think that's so beautifully done. I'm so proud of it. And it was so tricky, in the short time we had, and Eddie's concentration was so fine and so total. I was really carried away. In fact, the whole cast, for that matter, I thought all the subsidiary characters, Britt, Lucy, Xavier, I thought they were all very fine.
Susan, you were speaking to the fact that you wrote this 12 years ago and it's been a long road. What's the closest you came to feeling like it was completely falling apart, that it was never going to happen?
Oh my gosh. I mean, basically until Eddie came on, every time, it looked like it was going to happen, it just didn't. And, it's funny that I, though, say everything happened exactly as it's supposed to, because this was waiting for Eddie to do. I can't imagine anybody else playing it. And to be playing, it's such an honor that he did it, and I know that the real Mr. Church would be honored that Eddie. He was a fan of Eddie's, I also think I wrote it originally because my daughter was not going to know the real Mr. Church, and in a weird way, she's grown up with him because it's been living in our home. She's seen me try to get it made. She read a draft of it when she was 10 years old, I mean, she's watched it and she's heard me tell stories and talk about it. And so in a strange way, he grew up with her after all. And so I look at it, I don't now look and go, oh God, I'm like, thank you that it happened the way it was supposed to,
Well, it's such a pleasure to have all of you here, and congratulations on the film. And thank you all for sticking around tonight.